Well, welcome to our second webinar for the state convention this year. Excited to be here. Hopefully more people join us or listen to this later. We have a lot of good things to get through today. If you want to, you can go ahead and advance to the next slide. Do quick introductions. I'm Tammy Neighbors-Ketchen, Assistant Director of the Indiana FFA. Go ahead, Sam.
All right. I'm Sam Miller. I'm the Director of Indiana FFA.
Joe Martin, Program Specialist for Indiana FFA.
Barkman, your Ag Ed Specialist.
Craig Lundgren, CDE and LDE Program Manager.
I don't know if Lisa's on. Go ahead, A.
Anna Arians, I work with Indiana FFA Foundation.
And Lisa Shadon, our Foundation Director, is also on this call. And she unmuted
Sorry, guys,
herself.
multitasking. Somebody was talking to me and I couldn't unmute in time. Hello, everybody.
All right, thanks. So the purpose is for this meeting, we're going to go through again just some high level details about state convention, as well as then dig into some of the state convention registration things that'll be happening soon, and or what we can do or help you understand just what you have now that you have your convention registration completed. So we are recording this. We're going to present information. There is a Q&A, a question and answer feature at the bottom of your screen there. If you will put all your questions in there while at any point during this presentation, we have Joe Martin and Anna Arians who will be looking into those questions and answering those as they come in. And then if there's something they don't know or want to loft up to me, then we'll kind of work that into the presentation as well. So please do put questions in there all through this presentation. So again, just the high level details here, location wise, this shows you we're going to be at the State Fairgrounds for the sessions, a few other items as well, and then Conner Prairie and Hamilton Southeastern High School. So that shows you where they are and then, how close they are to each other. This is the Fairgrounds. This helps you see kind of the routes that we'll be taking. We'll talk a little bit more about parking later as well. So the yellow will be the bus parking, and then red will be the car parking. And then you can also see there's some red buildings that are highlighted that will be where we are. So we'll be in the exhibit hall, the Centennial Hall, Ag Hort building, the Expo Hall as well. So those are the ones said. And then a little bit of the community service over by the FFA Pavilion as well. So this is just a snapshot of these details. Again, the preview is there for you guys, and I would recommend we've been making changes or any advancements into the preview, as well as the convention guide that's on our website. So periodically going in there and relooking at that to make sure you have the most updated preview would probably be a good idea. We also are going to have an app. We're going to launch an app later, and you'll have those details, and obviously we'll make all changes in real time on the app as well. So Monday you're going to have state CDEs. Specifics on which ones those are again in the registration packet. You should have already registered for those, and that registration has closed. Day 2, so Tuesday, you'll have leadership development events as well as crew development events at Hamilton Southeastern. Again, those specifics on which of those events are in the registration packet. You should have already registered for those. The LDEs are the ones that we will register you for, but we have been in communication with you with time slots and things like that for your students and when they will be going and participating during the day. So be sure to look in your email if you haven't seen that yet, or you haven't responded to the interns, as they've been the ones responding or asking for those changes that might be possible. Most things we need to keep. If you can make those times work, we would appreciate it for sure. So convention registration. During the LDE CDE competition on Tuesday, we will have a registration there for any chapter that has students participating on Tuesday. We will have your registration there on site from 8:30 to 1. So it would be good. Obviously, we're going to have your packet and everything there. So it would be great for you to register there. And everyone else's will be over at the State Fairgrounds in the Expo Hall, East Foyer from 8:30 to 7:30 p.m. The registration times in the preview are not accurate at this point. We're going to update those because we've extended those hours. So basically, as long as you need registration is when we have those registrations open. So if there's 2 night events, obviously Tuesday and Wednesday have night sessions, they'll go 30 minutes after that session starts, and then we'll close registration down. So basically we're running registration all day, Tuesday and Wednesday, and most of the day on Thursday, just to make sure that everybody has what they need and that you can come and go and get tickets potentially or ask questions of the registration area throughout the day as you need. So those LDEs and CDE chapters that should be registering at Hamilton Southeastern, if for whatever reason you don't get to do that after 1 p.m., so it'll take us time to get over, but then later in the evening, we will bring your registration over if you don't grab that earlier in the day, but you'll have to give us a little bit of time to bring it over. You'll see a courtesy core meeting there. Tuesday, we have community service. We have several community services planned, not just around the FFA pavilion, but might be branching out on the fairgrounds itself, the State Fairgrounds. So if you've registered, we'll be contacting you soon with more details and where you might be working. And then we have Conner Prairie. So if you registered there, again, we'll be reaching out soon with more details on what that will look like. We have the banquet, the PSO banquet, Conner Prairie at the Overlook, and then session 1 starts that evening. Wednesday, again, you're going to see registration is going to run the full day there. You'll have session 2, which is the CDE session. These are primarily the 4-H FFA CDEs, things that are not the leadership development events, but not exclusively that. Any of those events that happen at convention, again, we will register you for those. Otherwise, you should have registered your students in the award section of the registration for that. If you have questions, just email me. We can work through that. The first delegate business session will happen immediately after that. After session 2, the trade show will be open from 10 to 5 that day. Workshops will be happening from 11 to 2:30, both at Conner Prairie and State Fair. We do have one virtual one that we haven't publicized as much yet, but you will be seeing more publications about that. So if you have students at home that kind of want to be a part of it, so they're watching the live stream, they also have the opportunity to do a virtual workshop event. So you'll be able to see more details about that. We have it in the app, as well as we're getting some things to you soon. Okay, so a little bit of extra here we haven't talked through yet in detail. So section directors and district elections. This will be happening, they'll be happening from 11:30 to, 2, I think is what we have in the preview. At any rate, these times that are on this slide are just our best guess on some of that. So what's going to happen is section 3 will be electing their section director, while districts 10, 11, and 12 will be in the Centennial Hall and will be working on their district elections. And then after those 2 are completed, roughly around noon, you'll switch. And then, so District 4 will then, or Section 4 will then be doing their section director elections. And then District 7, 8, and 9 will be working on their district elections. So you can see they kind of swap over, okay? And then the next set will be Section 1 and Districts 4, 5, and 6. They'll swap and do Section 2 and then Districts 1, 2, and 3. Something that you need to be aware of, and obviously we're going to help you understand those days of, but if you're part of this process and you're going to help your districts and sections do these things, you need to make sure that the section directors elect an alternate. Make sure that you have, if you have the number of candidates, that you select your second. This is especially important because generally we run the sections first and then the districts, and the way that's set up now, you might have somebody who's running for district president and then they want to run for a section director or vice versa. And so they may have offices contingent on whether they achieve one of those or not. And so we need to make sure that you have an alternate just in case that section director is elected into the president's, or the president is elected section director and they have an option based on your district bylaws. So it's best just to make sure you have an option just in case another election affects your section director elections. We will want to say that there's limited space in these elections this year, so delegates, candidates, and advisors are the ones that need to be a part of this. If you have other students that are around, you'll need to make sure you have other arrangements for them. They can't just sit through this election process because we just don't have the space to allot for that this year. We do have two for both of these at the state fairgrounds, so you still be on site. We do have some large workshops, so they're still open. So if you need to put your students in the workshop or whatever, you can do that. They'll have something going on, something to do. Also, the trade show is happening in that same building where the workshops are happening, as well as where food will be available to them, so they can be in the Ag Hort building doing all those different things while you're overdoing the election process with your delegates and candidates. So something to think about and plan for. Again, these are estimated times, and you can see the different buildings that they are. And I want to, Sam, if you could push forward one slide just for a second. Here in the top left corner, you can see the two buildings that we're talking about. So the 4-H exhibit hall is the one that's top here, and then the one right next to it is the Centennial Hall. Those are the two that we'll be working on and swapping. So your section director will be in that top building, the 4-H exhibit hall, and Centennial will be your district elections. So that's the type of, you'll have a little bit of walk to switch those out, but you'll be fairly close. Sam, if you can go back. So the first set, the districts 10, 11, and 12, you will be putting out chairs. There'll be chairs piled up there, but you'll have to kind of arrange the room a little bit. And then the next two districts that will be working through that, you will need to grab a little sanitizer and sanitize your chairs before your student sits in that chair. That will all be out already. And then the last ones to use the district rooms 1, 2, and 3, you will need to put the chairs back up in stacks, which will have people there to help direct you to make sure that we put the rooms back in the order that they were found in. We also want to clean up any trash and anything like that that might be there for us. Basically, we reduced our costs by saying that we would set up and clean up for ourselves in these buildings. So we'll be looking for those things to happen as well. So don't run off right away after you're finished. We'll need you to help reset that room. You can go ahead. So then we have session 3, the proficiency session, the STAR banquet, that will be at Conner Prairie. Then we have session 4, the Hoosier degree session. Posting of the state officers will happen in the exhibit hall. That's where the section director elections were at, so you can kind of get a feel for where that is on the fairgrounds. Thursday, session 5, the LDE ones, we'll put in again your registration for those top 4 individuals in those. Agri-science as well. We'll put those registrations in for you. We should have Living to Serve and some others out soon for you to register. Trade show will be from 10 to 2. Awards luncheon will be happening at the 4-H exhibit hall. Again, this is where your section director elections happen, so it'll be in that same place. And then we'll go into our session 6, our final session. So let's talk about parking a little bit. We have gotten back from State Fair since our last webinar. And we will be getting this more details out in written form for you guys, but you'll have $10 per car. To my knowledge at this point, and obviously other staff members, as you were on the call with State Fair, if you need to correct me, but this is just every time you come in, cars pay $10. It's not an all day one fee for all day for that car. So when you are thinking about how you're going to manage your team and where they're going to go, you can get a pass, a $30 pass for a one-time fee for all day in and out access. So probably want to go park the cars, you know what I mean? And then use the bus to kind of get, if you are moving out of the fairgrounds into other areas, use the bus to travel outward for that. So the cars will pay on site, but the bus pay will be through us. We'll arrange that with State Fair with you guys. So that's the difference between those two things. Some things to think about. I think, Sam, we have a map on the next page if you want to. I think we do. Yeah. So gate 6, if you see that on the right there, again, this is cars coming in. Cars can come in this way. There is no left turn into this from Fall Creek Road. So if you are coming in that direction, you'll need to come in wrap around and go back to get into the fairgrounds. And then gate 1, you can get in left or right. It's just probably easier one direction or the other. And then you can see how the bus then wraps around to the back. You can go back, Sam.
And one thing with that, Tammy, on
Mhm.
that, the buses should only enter through gate 1. Cars can enter in through gate 1 or gate 6.
Yes.
But they're asking that the buses only enter through gate 1.
Okay. So we do want to say we have taken the numbers from a registration so far. There's a vehicle declaration part of the registration. So if you haven't put in there that you're going to bring a vehicle and what vehicles you are going to be bringing, please put that in, because that helps us pre-plan for parking if we need more parking or if we need to work with State Fair on that. Put that in there. At this point, we will be following up with registration for bus passes. And again, cars pay at the gate, so we won't have a pass for them. Go ahead. Dress code, we went through this before, just wanted to have it back up there so you can take a quick look at what you might need, the kids, how they may be dressed for each event. Masks worn at all time at this point. If that changes, we will communicate that to you. Waivers, COVID waivers, everyone needs a COVID waiver, and you'll turn those in at registration, including your adults and yourself. Electronic waivers for students only, you'll find that on the Indiana FFA website. It's that one-time waiver. If they haven't completed it yet or they need to update it, be sure to do that before convention starts. It is really important that you have this, because this is what we're going to use if there's an emergency and you're not around. That's where we're going to go to check in on that information and to help that student. So everyone needs to have both of these completed. Every student needs both these completed, and every adult and every student needs the COVID waiver completed. Housing, again, we're working with Hamilton County Tourism, but any in that area is going to be fine for you. If we have any deals or anything like that, we'll communicate that out to you guys. Local amenities, educational and fun activities, we're creating a list for that, so be looking for some options we might have, or things that we have worked out for you, coming soon for the Listserv. Again, the convention app, watch your email for details on that. So you want to get that on your phone. So if we do make any changes to the schedule or anything like that, you'll be able to see that in real time. And just to have several details for the event will be there, easy to access for you. Exec and SOCs, here's some new things from the last presentation to this presentation. We'll be having housing, the Cambria Hotel, June 13th through the 14th, unless you're an SOC, in which yours starts June 11th, $129 per night plus taxes and fees, and you're going to be paying that directly to the hotel. And then the rest of our housing, 14th through the 17th, will be at the State Fairgrounds. It's very dorm style, and that will be $10 a night, and you will pay that to the Indiana FFA, and we will pay the lump sum to the Fairgrounds. We'll be talking more to your students about these as well, but just want to give a heads up if you have questions or you're thinking about it. That's what we've come up with so far. Session registration for those individuals, you do not need to register them. I have communicated today about SOCs and execs who are registered for awards. There's a fee for that, so you guys shouldn't be charged the $10 if others aren't charged to be there. So I've reached out to you if you have registered that person and you don't need to, I've let you know. But if you want to keep that ticket as a placeholder, you can do that as well. It's totally fine. But the SOCs and exec will be there anyway, and so you don't necessarily need to put them in your registration. We will have, as we move on to the next topic, there is seating coming out soon, and their name will be in the seating document. So you'll be able to be like, okay, seating's there. I know the student's supposed to be there. They're exec member, so okay, there's a placeholder for them. So we're going to be releasing seating soon, so you can see where they're going to be, what seat they're supposed to be in. And we're also working through taking the seating and the registration and audit. So I've been sending out emails, just been working through making sure the correct students are there in their award seating, or if their student isn't there and you guys put a placeholder, I'm probably going to contact you and ask, is this person a placeholder for this person? And if the answer is yes, great, you just tell me that's true, and then we move on. So I'm definitely double checking and rechecking all of that to make sure that we have we optimize our seating. That's basically what that is about. So if you want to click forward, Sam, real fast, I think we have a diagram. So here's what the expo hall is going to look like for that seating. And so we put a couple arrows in. The cattle barn would be there to the right, and then 38th Street would be there. So if that orients you a little bit to what, where this expo hall is and how it looks. You can see the stage here will be on the left. And you can see in the red, the large red rectangle at the top, that's where the award seating will be. So it'll feel very much like it has in the past. So when you get your seating numbers, that's where you're going to have the students sit. If there's more than what we have in that area, they'll wrap around to the next row, probably starting from the back and moving forward. The black there, the black square is where your delegate seatings will be for session 2 and 6. Again, we wanted to make sure that everyone understands the delegate seating process. So when you registered a delegate, that allowed you to have 1 ticket per delegate for every single session. So if I'm a delegate, I have session 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 tickets for that. So they're already registered and they can go to every session. However, in session 2 and 6, because I will have delegate business that happens, and if we don't want to move them around and have to re-sanitize seats in between, we're going to have them sit in their delegate formation at the beginning of the session. So you can see here, that's the block they'll be sitting in. There'll be signs to help them figure out where they're going to be seating and all that kind of stuff, but just want to make you aware of that. If you are moving tickets around and things like that, session 2 and 6, if someone else besides the delegate you registered wants to utilize that ticket, they will have to sit in the delegate seating for the session. Then they can get up and excuse themselves. I just want you to understand that that's what's happening for session 2 and 6. Otherwise, the delegate tickets they get for the other sessions, they can sit wherever they like. And then you can see here in the blue triangle on the far right, that's where your registration is going to be, and that's where you'll be entering into the expo hall as well. Yeah. So that shows you the delegate seating, restricted seating, and free seating for them, the layout. At the door, let's talk a little bit about what that process looks like. So when you come up, you're going to see, you'll have courtesy corps people and different volunteers will be there, and they're going to stamp the ticket for the students so they can keep the ticket for their own, they want to scrapbook it or whatever, for their own memorabilia, so they could keep it, but we will be stamping them just for our sake, so we know that that ticket has been used for a student. So the ticket sharing that could happen for this, basically, let's say I enter the session with the session 1 ticket, and I sit and I'm there for half the session, and then I leave the session with my ticket. I go and give it to my friend, who then takes it and gets to experience the second half of the session. So they can come back in with that ticket and be able to watch the second half of the session. So that's another possibility for you who are trying to figure out, how am I going to have my students experience session? I can't find all the tickets I need. There's a chance that they can share tickets as well. So even the advisor ticket doesn't say advisor on it. It's just a ticket. And so if you need to have a guest in there, a parent is there and like really wants to see their student get their state degree and only needs to see during that part, you could give the ticket to them during that part of the session. They can get in and you can sit in the overflow and watch as an advisor. So that's a chance for them to get in. If you have a parent that really is disappointed and you couldn't get them a guest ticket, it's a chance that they can share your ticket. There'll be early seating to the expo hall. We want people to come early so they can get in their seats. We'll be helping you get to seats and making sure that we move everyone forward as they come in so that we can maximize our seats. So we know exactly how many are open, so we're going to be pushing those in together. We'll be packing you guys in together, but that doesn't mean you'll be sitting right next to each other, because the seats will be COVID restricted, so you'll have space in between the seats. And then we will have systematic release. So you just can't get up and walk out. We're going to help each section of our hall leave out a certain door. We'll be opening up all the doors so that you don't have congestion at one door or another. We'll be able to empty that place out pretty quickly, but just pay attention to the instructions that we be given to you guys about, who's releasing you and what door you need to go to. At this point, we're thinking we're going to have, color coded basically. Green person's going to say, you're going to go out the green door. You'll see a green sign by that door and you'll go out that door. So just going to help everyone get released quickly and without a lot of congestion for COVID reasons, we don't want. Go ahead. So reviewing your registration. This is a question I have a lot, like how do I know who I registered for? Or if we hide any of the registrations, like I've currently hidden advisor as well as delegates and state degrees because I wanted to get those down because we met that deadline as far as being able to register. If you have not registered your state degree recipient, your delegates or yourself at this point, you need to let me know immediately. Because I'm about ready tomorrow to release those tickets that aren't being used right now. So if you're one of those people, you need to be emailing me right now, probably. Sam, if you want to move to the next slide, I have some pictures. So this is an example of how you find out like your registration. This is the easiest way for you to see who you registered and to make sure you can see all of it. So in the top picture, you can see there, you go to your account balance. So you go to INFFA, you go into your portal. On the left-hand side, you'll see account balance, bring that up, and then you can see your different line items that have individual invoices. So you want to click on those, and then it will bring up your registration invoice, and it'll show you, you can see I blacked it out, but it will show you the advisors. So you'll have the names there for who you registered for each session, which delegate you registered for, and you can even see there at the bottom, session 2, what members you registered for that. So that's how you always, that's a quick way you can always go in and figure out who you registered and when you have tickets and what tickets you have and all that kind of stuff. So this is the best way for you to see that. Again, you go into your account balances, you go into individual items, you can see that they have the award recipient there, workshop, banquet, general, all those at the top. They'll have to check each one of those to make sure that they see the full scope of their convention registration, but they're all there in their invoice. The general registration one, you have to scroll down to the next page. It just pushes everything, because it's so large, it pushes everything to page 2. So just scroll down, you'll see it on the next page of your invoice. You can go ahead and go back. Ticket auditing. So we're emailing you if we see that you have a delegate registered. That means that they have a ticket for each site. So maybe that delegate's registered as a delegate, but also they're registered as session 2. That's a problem unless that person in session 2 is a placeholder. So I'm emailing you and saying this student's double registered, which means they have 2 seats right now. Is that what you wanted? Or is one of those a mistake? So those are the questions I'm asking individually of teachers. So be looking for those emails and just respond as quickly as you can, because that really helps us free up any tickets that need to be and also secures your tickets as well. If you need a placeholder and you just put that person's name in there, really somebody else is sitting there, that's fine. We just need you to respond as soon as you can. We are in the process of emailing about award discrepancies. So people have potentially registered accidentally in the award section. They're not supposed to be registered there, or if they are registered, making sure that the correct person's there. Or if you haven't registered yet for that award and you need to have a registration there, I'm contacting for that as well. So again, just make sure that you're responding to those emails as soon as possible. So I'll ask, like, is it a placeholder or is it an error? Placeholder just means that, you know, that name's there, but really someone else is going to be using that ticket, and I'll just write in our notes that it's a placeholder and it's fine. And if there's an error, we'll try to work through how to resolve that error. So name changes. We would like every student to be registered for at least 1 session, so that helps us double check your waivers and things like that. At some point, we will close down registration and then ask for you to have edits and things like that. So just keep involved with your email. If I ask, hey, is there anybody that you need to change in your registration, go ahead and tell me who they are and where you need those changes, and then I'll make them. The reason why we're kind of doing it this way is because if you go in there and you want, like, well, I need to change, Susie's not going anymore, it's, you know, Johnny. If you go in there and change it to Johnny, in the process of unregistering one student and trying to register another student, that ticket seat is open for everybody, which means that somebody can be like, oh, great, a ticket's open, and come in there and register that ticket away from you. So to make sure that you don't accidentally lose tickets, we're going to help you work through that process. So again, we'll just ask for changes that need to be made, and we'll help make those changes for you on our end. And then we'll reopen registration so that it can be open for you during sessions and during the convention itself in case you need it to be. Again, state staff will be adding the CDE LDEs as well as the new executive committee to the last session. So those are things that we'll be putting onto your registration because we have ticket allotments and seats for them. We ask that you don't print, in the last thing we were talking about, I showed you an invoice and how to see your registration. That's fine, but don't print that and have that sent to your treasurer just yet. So any of these changes we've been saying, or anytime we add changes, that invoice will change. And then we won't have a different invoice for you. It'll just be the same invoice for you. And so your treasurer will have a different invoice number, you'll have a different invoice number, and those things won't match. It'll be very difficult for us to make all that work. So we just ask to just wait, just wait to until after convention with all the changes and things like that have already been made. Then go ahead and print that those invoices and then submit those to your treasurer. So just hold off until after convention because there's a lot of changes that will even happen on site during convention. So that's something to think about and to keep in mind. On-site registration, again, we've extended that and they're a little bit more extensive than they have been in the past. LDEs and CDEs, 8:30 to 1 at Hamilton Southeastern. So if you have schools that are already going to be there, go ahead and do that. Your registration will be there for you. If you somehow can't make that, later in the evening, it'll be back over at the fairgrounds and then it will remain at the fairgrounds for the rest of convention. We will also have that registration open Tuesday for everybody else who would like to get in there and get their tickets and things like that from 8:30 to 7:30 p.m. So 8:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, Wednesday 8 to 7:30, and then Thursday 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again, that's all in that exhibit hall right next to where all the sessions are going to happen anyways. Very easy access for you. And we'll have adult volunteers there as well as student volunteers to help facilitate all of that. Here you might also have additional tickets for each session that if they come available through us, that's where you'll be able to find those tickets and register for those extra tickets. Go ahead. So here's what I think is going to be the most helpful for this call. This is the most important part and kind of what we wanted you guys to hear so that you could help you utilize what you've already have registered to its fullest. So let's just take like a test case. So advisor 1, you can see on the left-hand side there, this is what they registered for. They have 1 advisor registration. So that gives them 1 ticket per session. They have 2 delegates. So that's 1 ticket per session per delegate. So they'll have essentially 2 tickets per session. In session 1, they're not attending. Session 2, they have 1 guest and 2 delegates. Session 3, they have 2 awards, 5 members, 1 guest, 2 delegates, 1 advisor. And you can kind of see there. Now session 4, all of a sudden they need 5 members and 1 guest. So they don't have all the things that they need. And session 2, they need 2 members. So what can they do and what do they have? So items to sell, trade, or gift to others. So if you see, they have session 1, 3 tickets available. Because they're not going to that session, that still means that they have an advisor ticket and 2 delegate tickets for that session. This is probably the most important thing that I need everybody to understand. If you've registered delegates and yourself as an advisor, and you're not going to certain sessions, you have session tickets that are available for others. If you don't somehow sell that to someone, trade, or even gift that to somebody, that seat will remain empty. And I can't help anyone else get to that seat because I don't know if that person's in the bathroom or somewhere else, right? So that session seat will just be open. So people will come into the session, look around and go, wow, there's a lot of empty seats. The people who are there are going to, I would have liked to get, 2 or 3 more members in here, but it said I couldn't. But look at all these empty seats. This is why we need you to help us help you, okay? If you are not going to sessions and you have registered a delegate, you have registered delegates and advisors, please make sure that you somehow get those extra tickets to somebody who can use them. Again, you're free to sell those to others, okay? You can sell those to other chapters, regain some of your registration costs, $10 a ticket. That's fine. If you don't want to go through all that, that's totally fine as well. We have another option. for you to gift that to other people. And we can take on that to help you with that. So then they have items they need, session 4 and session 6, you can see those items that they need. So how do they acquire the things that they need? Well, we're gonna have a ticket release. So any state degree recipients that did not register, any delegate seats that haven't been taken, any advisor seats that haven't been taken, those extra tickets that we allocated will be released to everybody tomorrow at 4 p.m. Doing my best to get those numbers and those tickets in real time for you guys to be able to register for that. So when that opens up, you can get in there and try to get those session tickets as you need. So that's one option that you can do. So you need to be ready for that tomorrow. My suggestion is that you kind of lay it out like you can see here on the left-hand side. What do you need? When do you need it? And then try to get those tickets as they open back up. I will say session 4 is going to be the most difficult. So the state degree session, we probably will not add any more guest tickets back to that. We probably will, any extra tickets that we have will be in member registration, because we weren't able to add member registration for that session previously. Since they were member tickets, they're just going to go back to members. So that's probably what we're going to see there. So you're probably not going to see guest tickets that way. You might be able to acquire tickets from other advisors and things like that, but probably not going to see a guest ticket from us open back up for session 4. The other sessions will have some. Let's say something else about that. Hopefully I think about it. Can't remember what I was going to say there. So that's one option, ticket release. The second one would be buying from another teacher. So we have, and you'll see an email go out from Board of Trustees. They have graciously are going to help us manage the ticket exchange that will be happening, because you do know that once we get closer, or once people understand they have some free tickets to move around, they're going to need a good way to move those around. Instead of putting them on the listserv, where we have not just teachers on that listserv has other partners and things like that, and it would be, basically a national convention time where you see a whole bunch of emails and stuff come in, and you kind of get bogged down. It's best if we kind of move that over to what they're going to create here, a GroupMe, and they're going to give you the instructions for that and everything, how to get signed up. So teachers can go in there, say, I have, in this case, this teacher could go in and say, I have 3 tickets for session 1. Session 2, I have 1 ticket, and session 5, I have 3 tickets. And so they can go in there and people will be like, I'll take this one. I would like to have that. And so they'd be able to purchase tickets from you guys from that particular area. So be looking for instructions from that in your email soon. And then just remember that if you have delegate tickets that you're exchanging for 2 or 6, anyone who is getting that ticket needs to know they have an assigned seat. So they might not be able, session 2 would be rough because that's the whole point, is that business session, but let's say they had to leave or whatever, and you're not going to go to session 6, they would have an assigned seat. So that's the thing you have to think about. I would say unless it's absolutely necessary, you wouldn't necessarily sell that ticket. So session 2 and 6 would probably be ones maybe just stay away from selling those delegate tickets. But the other ones you could definitely sell. You could buy from convention registration at conventions. So if we still have some open, you could come to the registration booth and we can set you up. We can add it to your registration already, and then it will go onto your invoice. So if you want to come by and say, well, I still need 2 tickets and I haven't, been able to acquire them, you can always come by and go, hey, you guys have 2 tickets to this session still available, and we can check. And if we do, we'll sell those to you. So on-site registration is an option. A little bit more of a gamble because it's if we have them or not. And then this next part, I think, is the one that might be really good for some of you that you don't want to deal with trying to get a ticket to somebody, make a meeting place to make sure you get the ticket to them, because you're not going to have the tickets until you register. So you have to come and register that day, get those tickets, and then give that ticket to that advisor that you're selling it to. So we're not mailing these ahead of time. So it's a little bit different. It will take a little bit more planning on your part to sell those tickets. So if you don't necessarily need to sell it and you're okay with the cost of what convention cost you and you're not trying to regain any of that back, we will allow you to donate them to us. We're not going to sit there and go, okay, well, this is supposed to go to, you know, Benton Central because somebody's selling it to them and we're going to move it around. We're not going to help you sell your tickets like that. That's too much extra work for us to be able to like manage on site. We can't do that. But if you don't really want to worry about that and you just want to donate those tickets, we're going to keep a pile in convention registration for donated tickets. They'll just be there. And if there's donated tickets, if you wander up there and say, I need 2 tickets to session 2, and the first thing we're going to do is see if there's any in the donated area. If they're in the donated area, we're just going to give them to you. Okay, we'll just give you those tickets because somebody donated them. That's different from registration. If we have in a registration system, those would be sold. If someone donates them to the cause, basically to other people, but they just don't want to facilitate that, you can bring those to us and we will give those out to anyone who needs them. Additionally, if nobody comes by, but you've donated those tickets, we'll definitely just go over to the overflow and ask a few students if they want to come in, right? So if we have some extra tickets and nobody's picked them up, we'll go over and make sure they get seats. I think you can understand here just the volume amount of talking that I'm doing right now and the different options we're coming up with, how important it is that each ticket is really utilized to its fullest. Like we really need, if that ticket's out there, we need somebody in that seat. So if you have that, please make sure that those tickets are not going unused as much as possible. Again, ticket sharing is another option for this particular teacher. So if they have some like half and half, right? So they have some students already in the session potentially, and they have another set in the overflow and they want to swap halfway through, they can do that as well. Just make sure that they have the ticket. The ticket's the most important thing. So if they leave the session, they need to have the ticket with them. And then when they come back, they need to have a ticket with them. So that's basically the best I could do to help everyone understand just what they have access to when they registered for certain registrations. Go ahead. So your next steps. We're going to email you with this link as well as some of these extra details like we had before, just give you a little bit more information on that email. Then we're going to have that released tomorrow at 4 p.m. You need to sign up for that ticket exchange. You're going to get an email from Amanda Mullins, our Board of Trustees president. She's going to get that out to you guys so that you can sign up for GroupMe, and they'll be able to help you walk you through that as well. We'll be adding the registration for the buses, but in the meantime, go ahead and go in there and do your vehicle declarations if you haven't already. Please respond as promptly as possible to any audit emails that I ask about tickets that you already have. And be ready with registration changes and name changes when we ask for those. So once we say, okay, we're ready to change people's names out, if you need us to do that, once we give that email out, just be able to give us those as soon as possible. So if you already know you have changes to your registration for your students, just have them written out in an email already. And then when I ask for it, you can just send it to me. So, and then check your registration during convention for any additions that you might have for winners and new exec members, and you can pick up those tickets at registration. So if we add an LDE one, they'll have a ticket for you waiting at that registration booth in East Foyer of the exhibit hall. So we got through a lot of content there. That's what I have so far. Are there any questions that need to be elevated up? Anything that needs to be discussed further? Team, panelists, if you want to jump on and give extra detail for anything that you have that I haven't covered already.
We had someone ask outside of the Q&A if students who are in the overflow need a ticket.
No, the students in the overflow, any guests that you might have that couldn't get in, like if you have chaperones and things like that, that you couldn't get a guest ticket, they can watch from the overflow. They don't need a ticket for that. If a student, technically, if a student never enters a session, if that student never gets into an actual session, but utilizes the workshops, the trade show, you know, and the overflow, if they utilize those and a couple other things for convention, if they never actually get in, they don't actually pay for any registration at that point. It's just the session registrations that they'll have. If they're an awards luncheon, any banquets or anything like that, there's fees associated with those. So good question. Any other questions?
Tammy, the only thing that I would also remind advisors is to sign up for all of the extra activities. So courtesy core and, those workshops and everything else that would have open spots. So if there's still openings, get kids in there so that way they can experience some part of convention if they're not able to get into a session.
Yes, definitely. And even if they are in a session and not in other sessions, it's great to get them as full access to things as possible. We have several workshops that still have availabilities. A couple of them have two, like they're in the overflow section. So there's two workshops that happen at State Fair and they have capacity of 250. I feel like it's pretty good. So you have a lot of options there as well as community service and things like that. So.
We also had a question that I answered, but I thought we'd probably open it up for everyone just so you can have that on the video. Someone asked if there would be prep rooms for LDEs at HSC. We will not have any prep rooms. So similar to district conventions, we're going to ask you to stay in the bus until it's your time to participate in those contests. But there will not be prep rooms within the building during LDEs.
Any other questions?
Another one that was asked that I think is good to have here. Someone asked if after you get a member ticket for session 4, can a guest use one of those member tickets?
Yes. So every ticket, all tickets are the same. They look the same. So in the hands of anyone, they're going to look similar. So it doesn't say guest, it doesn't say member. So you could interchange those. They could share those tickets and things like that if you need that to happen. Again, the only ones that really do have to be specific are if you have a ticket that you got through an awards recipient, they have a specific seat. So they have to sit in that seat the whole time. So if they are, third place in, a proficiency area, they have a seat, they have an award they're going to get. They're going to sit in that seat the whole session. So if you have a student that's coming on their behalf or something like that, they're going to sit in the awards seating the whole time. Same thing with the delegates. If you one of your session tickets for session 2 and session 6 will be a delegate ticket if you've registered your delegates. And that means that they will have a specific seat for those 2 sessions. They will have to sit in that seat. So if someone else is there, but they're not going to actually be a delegate for you, they'll have to still sit in the delegate body section in your chapter's delegate seat. But when we go into the business session, they'll just excuse themselves and leave. So any other questions? Anything else that needs to be elevated up? I would say again, as you think about your individual registration that you have and how you can acquire tickets and have questions or need to be, reiterate some things to you or need to follow up just to make sure that, you've got your best plan for you, please just reach out to me. I'd be happy to walk you through that because it's just the highest priority for putting all of this in there to do this for our students and all this work for registration. We really don't want any session tickets to not be utilized. So we'll do whatever it takes to make sure that every ticket that's been out and been registered for actually is utilized. So just help us make that happen if you could. That's our biggest ask as it relates to registration. We want to help you through that. You just have to ask us for that. Or again, if you don't want to go through the hubbub of trying to sell extra tickets that you have, we'll take them at registration as a gift, and then we'll give them away. So someone else will be blessed with that ticket free of charge if that's what you want to do. So it's best to at least do that so that we have everyone, all those members that we possibly can fit in there enjoying a session as they need. So I think we're good. If everyone else is good, just reach out if you have any questions. And it was good to have you all here today. If you have people wasn't on the call, just encourage them to go ahead and listen to this for this information. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon at convention.